Today, I will be discussing some of the most revolting dishes ever served in Hell's Kitchen. And who better to kick things off than our very own princess? So, Sarah had her time to shine during the 6th dinner service while she was assigned to the meat station. Her Colorado rack of lamb was the highlight on that evening's menu, and Sarah wanted to make sure that she turned out the best dish possible.
It was so hot it got me fired. The owners couldn't take it at the restaurant that my menu was better than theirs.
As the entrees were ready to be served, Sarah proudly presented her lamb dish. However, the slices didn't quite meet the mark. They were poorly cut, majorly lacking the finesse expected from her.
Missy, just what are you doing with the lamb?
I'm learning, Chef.
Chef Ramsay made his displeasure clear, especially considering how it came from Sarah of all people. However, Sarah attempted to defend her mistake, overlooking that it was her idea in the first place.
You're learning?
Yes, Chef.
What do you mean you're learning?
How convenient, right? Didn't she boast about her lamb being so good that her previous manager was jealous of it? What a damn liar. Her poorly executed lamb dish faced the ultimate fate, rejection, and a one-way ticket into the trash. Sarah's moment to impress turned into a regrettable display of inadequacy that Chef Ramsay just couldn't let slide. As she continued to struggle on the entrees, Chef Ramsay, who was visibly irritated, warned Sarah that he was so close to resorting to the blue team's help for the 3rd time unless she stepped up her damn game.
Now it's turning into be a fucking big embarrassment unless you get me a fucking lamb!
Feeling the pressure, Sarah argued back, blaming her teammates for not assisting her.
Where was my team jumping in and helping me cook lamb? I was left alone to just burn.
And here I was thinking you were the expert around here, Sarah. However, her defense crumbled when her next attempt at the lamb turned out to be undercooked, forcing Chef Ramsay's hand.
It's blood! It's still fucking there!
Yikes. Chef Ramsay swiftly instructed Jean-Philippe to pull the lamb dish off the menu and firmly instructed Sarah to stay away from handling any more lamb for the rest of the night.
Take the lamb off the menu. Stop it! You
Chef.
don't dare cook any more lamb!
Anyway, as the red team's struggles continued, the famous chef's disappointment grew alongside it. He pointed out the impracticality of Sarah's Tide and stuffed salmon, marking it as the 3rd problematic dish from their side. Trying to salvage the situation, Ramsay suggested slicing the salmon differently, but Sarah raised concerns about maintaining consistency.
Don't fucking dare! Come here, you fat-mouthed little stupid bitch!
Damn! This disagreement alone pushed Chef Ramsay off the edge. He scolded Sarah, emphasizing that her fixation on an unworkable idea was hindering progress and wasn't even helping anyone. Okay, I'm just gonna come out and say it, I've never been a fan of Sarah, and I'll just leave it at that. Now, when I talk about the worst chefs to ever appear on the show, Tavon is probably one of the first to come to mind. But this next chef was just as bad.
You scare me because I turned my back and was screwed.
So, on the Italian night, Melissa took charge of the appetizer station. Things got off to a rocky start when she realized she forgot a second order of ravioli while serving the first batch.
Where's the other ravioli?
I put the ravioli. No, right now, chef.
Rushing to rectify the error, her second attempt landed on the table undercooked, inviting Chef Ramsay's stern criticism for her haste. He then accused her of disrespecting him with her oversight.
You're just rushing out and you're just treating me like a fucking idiot.
Hoping to recover from this blunder, Melissa only ended up running into yet another. She faltered with basic multiplication, confidently asserting that 3 times 3 equals, well...
3 3s are 6.
I was counting the pans,
Yeah.
chef.
Chef Ramsay was completely taken aback and issued a warning, expressing concern about her ability and stating that she was making him uneasy.
You can't even count to 9. You scare me.
Later on, during the prom night dinner service, Melissa took charge on the meat station. Her performance, however, turned into a series of regrettable missteps that left Chef Ramsay and her teammates reeling. Just 30 minutes into the service, Melissa presented her cooked filet mignons. This premature move irked Chef Ramsay immensely, since the red team had only managed to serve appetizers to a few tables and were nowhere near getting to the entrees.
We sent 3 tables of appetizers and you're sticking all the beef in the oven.
Chef Ramsay's frustration boiled over, leading him to confront Melissa aggressively, questioning if she even wanted to be there.
Why don't you make my life easier and just fuck off home?
His disbelief peaked when he counted a staggering 23 overcooked fillets, rendering them all unusable for the rest of the night.
It's 23 on board, chef.
So what? Why are you cooking them now?
What's more, the shock and horror on her teammates' faces mirrored the severity of the situation.
I can't keep on telling you every fucking service.
Meanwhile, Chef Ramsay's patience dwindled and dwindled further as Melissa continued to falter. She committed the grave error of slicing into a piece of beef that turned out to be raw, only to attempt to salvage it by putting it back in the oven. Chef Ramsay, visibly dismayed, scolded her, instructing her emphatically to refrain from slicing beef if it wasn't cooked to the desired level.
Don't slice them. Rule number 1.
This is
Slice
So here's an important lesson, guys. Never interrupt an angry Ramsay. His frustration was understandable, and her shortcomings significantly impacted that team's performance, resulting in a night filled with both waste and gross incompetence in the kitchen. But the next service was even more pathetic. Her first attempt at sending out scallops for Rob's salad fell so short as they arrived raw.
This is your cellar. It's raw.
The second batch she sent out ended up burned, further compounding the problem. Despite her efforts to rectify the situation with a refire, Rob rejected her third attempt because of how overcooked it was. Frustration mounted as none of her tries seemed to hit the mark.
How long on a fucking scallop? Melissa, how long?
It all came to a head when Melissa admitted that she had completely run through their entire inventory of scallops, having ruined a total of 7 pounds of the delicate seafood.
I cooked the shit out of all the scallops. I fucked the team, chef.
Damn right you did. Because of this incredibly terrible blunder, the blue team was forced to pivot from the scallop salad to a rock shrimp alternative. And Chef Ramsay was horrified.
Oh my god. Take the fucking plate. Pass it round.
Though initially not among the nominees chosen by the blue team, Melissa eventually found herself in the hot seat, joining Boris and Sabrina along with Nona from the red team. During her plea to stay, she attempted to showcase a positive outlook on her time with the blue team, mentioning it as a new experience before conceding to her struggles. Chef Ramsay, however, probed her honesty, leading Melissa to admit to significant difficulties rather than just a minor setback.
Why can't you be honest with me?
Struggle a lot, chef.
Different jacket, same shit.
Quote of the day. I mean, thankfully, Melissa's journey came to an end due to her repeated nominations and the lack of visible improvement after transitioning to the blue team. Her inability to perform consistently and her persistent struggles ultimately led to her elimination from the competition. Show of hands who was surprised that that happened. Now, what happened in the 7th dinner service of Season 5 was somehow even more infuriating. You see, Andrea was handling the appetizer station alongside Carol. The evening took a dramatic turn when a dish of undercooked pasta was returned. Instead of just taking responsibility, Carol unfairly blamed Andrea for the mistake.
Who's running the appetizers?
I am.
Well then run it then.
Fair question. The situation escalated when it was revealed that Carol had tasted the undercooked pasta herself before sending it out, knowing that it wasn't right. This forced Chef Ramsay to take a drastic action.
They were out there and sit on that table and eat that. Both of you. Out there.
Yeah, in a move I'm sure shocked nobody, Chef Ramsay promptly removed both Andrea and Carol from the kitchen, instructing them to go to the dining room and eat what they had just served. You reap what you sow, I guess. He made it clear that they wouldn't be allowed back until they acknowledged and fixed their mistake. Just goes to show, pick your battles when it comes to Chef Ramsay.
It's not undercooked, it's raw. Raw, Carol.
The famous chef's face expressed sheer disbelief at Carol's shocking decision to serve a dish that she knew was undercooked.
Why aren't you tasting?
His surprise and disappointment were evident, highlighting the significance of meeting basic cooking standards and taking responsibility for one's actions in a professional kitchen. Now, during the 10th dinner service, things didn't get any better. This time, Andrea was stationed on the garnishes. She was caught prepping them before the entrees were even ready, and Chef Ramsay pointed out yet another crucial mistake. She was cooking potatoes in a cold pan.
And you put the potatoes in, and not only that, but the pan's stone cold.
As the service progressed, Chef Ramsay called out the next order, but Andrea's lack of response drew his attention.
What's going? No answer.
Already in a really sour mood, the famous chef confronted her about her inattentiveness. He asked her to repeat the order, only to be met with her inability to recall what had just been called out. Again?
I have no idea, chef.
Oh my God almighty.
This became a reoccurring issue as the famous chef highlighted her ongoing struggle with keeping up. He then requested the rest of the team to recite the order, but to everyone's surprise, no one could accurately remember it. This led to Chef Ramsay's frustration boiling over.
2 Wellington, 2 chicken, 1 lamb, 1 dory.
Amidst the chaos, Andrea continued to falter, failing to recall the order even after Chef Ramsay just repeated it.
I have no idea, chef.
You have no idea.
I have no idea,
Hey, come
chef.
here, you.
I think this woman was zoning out, man. This final misstep led Chef Ramsay to decisively eject her from the kitchen, sending her out into the dining area. Just about ready to exit through the front door, Andrea was stopped by Jean-Philippe, who encouraged her to stand her ground and not give up without a fight.
So now you need to be strong, go back in there, and give it your best shot.
Yep, he's truly more than a maître d', you know? I hope he makes a comeback. But Andrea's little zoning out episode really reminds me of Jeremy from season 11. Right from the get-go, he was 100% lost. During the signature dish challenge, Jeremy's lack of skill became glaringly obvious, despite his lofty self-declared status as a lead cook.
What is it? I think it's ribeye. I'm sorry, chef.
Ultimately, he settled on a belief over certainty. Things took a turn for the worse when Chef Ramsay found fault with the texture of Jeremy's dish.
When you slice into a steak of that quality, you destroy the fibers and the texture because you're stuffing.
The following day, while the men's team seemed to be in sync during the prep session, Jeremy stood out as the odd one out. He appeared utterly bewildered, bombarding his teammates with a barrage of questions, struggling to keep up.
I don't know how to make a polenta.
I'm just a little concerned right now.
The real challenge hit during the service when Chef Ramsay fired off the orders. He called for 3 halibuts, 1 bass, and 1 chicken. Unfortunately, Jeremy stumbled, unable to accurately relay the order, requiring Dan's correction, much to Chef Ramsay's visible irritation.
Three halibut, two.
Despite Chef Ramsay's patience in repeating the ticket, Jeremy still couldn't respond, leaving poor Ramsay exasperated and disappointed.
Get out!
During the breakfast service's first order, Jeremy failed to provide any answers, much to Chef Ramsay's understandable frustration. To worsen the situation, when confronted about his inactivity, his confession was, well, poor.
Can I get an answer from you?
Yes, you can. I wasn't able to hear it, chef.
The issues just kept piling up as Jeremy grappled with fundamental communication and timing. When Anthony indicated 30 seconds for his omelet, Jeremy seemed utterly unable to comprehend, repeatedly seeking clarification on the time needed.
Jeremy standing in the middle there like that with his breakfast.
Jeremy, walk!
The situation escalated even further when Jeremy presented a croissant at the pass, missing a crucial component, the smoked salmon. Instead of promptly resolving the issue, Jeremy strolled to the kitchen's back and casually asked Dan for a plate, seemingly oblivious to the urgency of the service. What's even more astonishing is that the plate that he brought to the pass turned out to be the last thing he should have picked.
Some disgusting pig brought me the sample scrambled eggs.
Absolutely disgusting. Speaking of, up next, we have the most disgusting chef to have ever appeared on the show.
It's Jason, who won Hell's Kitchen, pocket full of money, beat women off with a stick for God's sake.
I'm, of course, talking about Jason Underwood. During his second dinner service, Jason became the anchor, dragging the entire team down, causing a significant slowdown in the service. As the entrees were being prepared, Chef Ramsay noticed that Jason's halibut was served raw from the hot plate.
Come here, go ahead.
No, I got it.
Shut up.
He needs to hear those 2 words more often, like more regularly. To drive the severity of this mistake home, Chef Ramsay insisted that Jason, Matt, and sous chef Scott touch the raw fish.
I mean, we can pretty much bend over and kiss our asses goodbye.
This led to a complete standstill in the team's ability to send out food. Sometime later, when a halibut dish cooked by Jason was returned for being undercooked, Chef Ramsay rightly directed his frustration towards him.
And you're sending me raw fish fucking cold. It's fucking raw.
Despite Jason's attempt to deny and lie about the mistake, Chef Ramsay reached his breaking point. His disappointment and anger culminated in a decision to shut down the restaurant for the night. He really saw no other recourse in the face of repeated errors and falsehoods.
Shut it down! Get the fuck out!
Before the next service, he strutted in thinking he was leagues ahead of the competition, but his lack of attention to the menu proved to be a costly oversight. Chef Ramsay singled out Jason for the dessert station during the team setup, humorously cautioning him against sneaking any treats. However, when quizzed about the desserts, Jason stumbled, failing to provide the correct answers. The famous chef promptly sent him packing to the dorms, urging him to study the menu thoroughly.
After the dawn, in the mirror, and read the dessert.
During the start of the service, Jason was conspicuously absent as he dedicated time to brush up on the menu. However, once he began preparing the desserts, it was evident that he was clueless, relying on outdated stereotypes by stating that desserts were best left to the women.
I've hit my breaking point. I'm at the bottom.
Anyway, Larosse then stepped in to assist by informing him that his crème brûlées were ready, a fact that he found hard to believe.
That's cooked.
But when Jason took his soufflés out of the oven, they resembled muffins stuck in a cup. Faced with Chef Ramsay's inquiry about the dessert mishaps, Jason finally decided to confess. When asked for a solution, he suggested a mix of sugar, butter, and cocoa powder to coat the rim, a suggestion that left Chef Ramsay visibly disheartened. I mean, look at his face.
Sugar, butter, and the cocoa powder.
So much so, the famous chef retreated to the hot plates, and what he did next was so disheartening to see. That has to be the worst meltdown the famous chef has ever had. But Roseanne's fuck up on the garnishes in her 5th service comes pretty close. The 3rd service of season 3 had Joanna handling the appetizer station for the last time. Her plan was to lead with her risottos, but things quickly went south. Her first batch of risotto turned out to be way too salty, causing a mess for the entire team.
It's soft, it's salty, it's crap.
And no, it didn't end there. When she tried again, the order had to be redone because Bonnie's scallops were really undercooked. And this leads us into mess up number 2.
Smell that. Hey, you, don't you yeah, come here, you. Hello.
Yeah, turns out Joanna's senses were on vacation. I mean, how could she not smell something as awful as that?
Rancid.
At this point, Chef Ramsay was genuinely scared.
How can you do that?
I didn't smell the crab.
But wait, why did he even have rotten crab in the pantry in the first place? So, moving on from one rotten mess to another, what happened during the 4th dinner service of season 2 was truly shocking. But do you know what's even more shocking? The fact that you could become a member of my channel by just clicking on the tab right here. From making recommendations for future videos to earning a chance to win some crazy prizes along the way, there's a lot to look forward to. Anyway, as for the blue team who delved into preparing the entrees, luck wasn't working in their favor. Tom dropped a bombshell on Chef Ramsay. He confessed that the quail, which had been ordered an hour ago, hadn't even hit the heat yet. And I don't even have to tell you how Chef Ramsay reacted to that.
What time did I call out the order?
An hour ago.
This admission was followed by the revelation that the first batch of Wellingtons needed was undercooked.
Oh no, oh come on, it's a little too pink.
Keith reassured Chef Ramsay that they could be ready within 4 minutes or so, trying to salvage the situation. But the famous chef wasn't pleased with the miscommunication.
What fucking line of communication is that on?
About an hour and a half into the service, Ramsay's irritation grew as he noticed Tom organizing his cooking for future tables instead of focusing on immediate orders. The man was disregarding Chef Ramsay's instructions.
No, I have the ones there.
In order that!
Accused of lacking passion, things took a turn for the worse when the duck in Tom's pan started burning.
You're cooking in a burnt pan, you fucking dick!
Chef Ramsay intervened, instructing Tom to leave it and remove the pan from the damn stove. Oh man, he was seriously on the verge of crying. But what happened with this next contestant was straight up embarrassing. So in episode 4, Chef Ramsay challenged her and Josh to get the appetizers ready in 8 minutes. Michelle was all in, confidently rocking it at her station. But then came the infamous risotto.
It's garlic and garlic.
Garlic first, raw rice.
Yup, it had a ton of garlic in addition to loads of raw rice. Name a more perfect combination, right? Obviously, Chef Ramsay wasn't thrilled, but she managed to redeem herself with a refire.
Delicious risotto, but why wasn't like that first off?
In the end, the red team somehow managed to clinch the victory for that service. But the episode brought more challenges for Michelle. The fishing challenge had its fair share of drama too. This time around, she faced off against Robin with her cast iron grouper and cucumber broth.
You have a big block of fish like that, you really have to season aggressively on all sides.
Unfortunately, the dish fell short on the seasoning end of things, which let Robin cruise to a relatively easy victory. Tough luck, huh? But hey, come on, you gotta agree that Louis' signature dish moment was something else. So this guy proudly presented his sausage gravy over biscuits, boasting about it being a diner special for $4.75 with coffee. And yet, somehow, he decided it was fit to present this gourmet dish at Hell's Kitchen. Very interesting. Anyway, even just going by the presentation, Chef Ramsay wasn't impressed.
Well, f me.
As for the taste, Chef Ramsay took a bite and bam, he spat it right back out.
It tastes like gunk.
But Louis really took offense to that. He stood by his dish that hundreds devoured weekly at his diner. Now, despite losing to Tech, the blue team clinched the challenge 3-2 thanks to the efforts of his teammates. But that was just the beginning of his long ride downhill. During the dinner service, Louis busted out yet another unappealing dish.
No salt, no pepper, no seasoning, not even seared.
Okay, now that really doesn't look good. However, it's not like Louis had it easy during the service. Just moments earlier, he was caught trying to place raw, unseasoned lamb in the oven by Chef Ramsay. And that wasn't all. He was also caught doing duties that weren't assigned to him. For whatever reason, Chef Ramsay found him also doing Joseph's chores. Anyway, let's get back to the dish. Despite all the blunders, Louis was 100% sure that the dish would turn out great, but was it?
What is that? Did you bite that?
Wait, what? The dude couldn't even slice lamb correctly, and here he was, putting up a fight with some of the best chefs in town. Like seriously, how did he even make it this far? Of course, Chef Ramsay couldn't resist giving him a good earful over this. And well, he totally deserved that. The dude had all but butchered the hell out of a perfectly good piece of lamb. But wait, it wasn't just one piece of lamb. Just take a look at what Chef Ramsay discovered at his station.
Look! Look! What the fuck is this?
Oh yeah, the disastrous sight was reason enough for Chef Ramsay to eliminate him right on the spot.
Get out! Yes, get fucked!
What followed next was Louis' colorful farewell to Chef Ramsay and a quick exit through the delivery dock. Dude didn't even get the honor of a proper walkout. Anyway, now how many of you think Raj was planted in season 8 just to boost the ratings? I mean, the guy was comedy gold. And this one particular dinner service really put that part of him on display. So Raj was in charge of presenting the salmon right in the middle of a chaotic service. But guess what? The famous chef found that the karate guru had cooked the salmon in some seriously gross stock.
What is that stock he's putting in that salmon?
I grilled it and I finished it with a little bit of sauce.
Now, Ramsay decided to give it a try, cause how bad could it be, right?
No sauce, bro.
It was horrible. As a result, the blue team had to start over, and Raj was like, I got this, refired salmon coming right up. But then he pulled a 180 and admitted that he needed one more minute. Though Chef Ramsay was not having it, he straight up called him a freaking bozo. Finally, when Raj brought out the salmon, Chef Ramsay hoped for the best. But this time, it was raw. And you have to see how Chef Ramsay reacted.
It's fucking raw! It's raw!
However, Raj was completely clueless about why Chef Ramsay rejected the salmon. And instead of just heading back to his station, he decided to question Ramsay's judgment.
Chef, would you mind if I said something, Chef, or no?
Not to me, you know.
Chef Ramsay was done with him.
Hey, what do you think this is, a talk show? Cook your fucking dish and shut your fat mouth!
To salvage the situation, the famous chef called Vinny over to help, and finally the team managed to send out their first table. But if you thought that was crazy, here comes an even more insane dinner service. If you ask me, right from the get-go, Roshni, who was assigned to the fish station with Brianna, had a pretty rough start in the service. She first started by sending up only 3 scallops when they needed 5.
Damn, dude. This is not how we're gonna do tonight. We gotta pull through this.
But guess what? Her second attempt was even worse.
There's not even a colour on there. They're like raw.
Chef Ramsay, not one to hold back, ordered the women to touch them. Danielle thought they felt squishy, and Barbie, always ready with a quip, accused Roshni of not feeling a certain something in a long time. Yeah, she really went there. But trust me, it didn't stop there. When Roshni called for one more minute on the scallops, Tiffany wasn't prepared to send them out yet. Well, they say third time's the charm, right? Well, not in this case.
I've had enough. Just touch these. I mean, honestly.
I'm sorry, Chef.
Raw, raw, raw. Chef Ramsay understandably complained that after 45 minutes of service, not a single appetizer had made it out yet. But hey, he's always got the right solution up his sleeves. Guess what he did this time?
Get out. Get out of
No,
here.
chef, no.
He kicked her out of the kitchen. Despite her desperate pleas to stay in the kitchen, Chef Ramsay was adamant. As she walked back to the dorms, upset about leaving the line, the red team somehow managed to turn things around and eventually won the service. Too many cooks, I guess? Well, this dinner service had its own share of highs and lows, and Roshni was definitely at the center of the storm. But what Kaylin did stirred up some serious tension. So Kaylin was assigned to the meat station during the dinner service and teamed up with Deneen. When Deneen offered a helping hand, Kaylin decided to refuse, assuming she was way more skilled. And besides, Deneen couldn't do anything right. But she decided to, go the extra mile and make fun of Deneen for good measure.
Deneen has no idea what's going on. She can't do anything right.
Anyways, you'd think that confidence is the key, right? Well, not for Kaylin. Kaylin sent her dish to the pass and she was beaming with confidence, but it failed to show in her dish.
Ladies! Ladies!
And well, Chef Ramsay had good reason to be mad.
I mean, does anyone need glasses? What is that?
Raw, chef.
He discovered that the lamb was as raw as the day it came into the kitchen. Deneen used this opportunity to her advantage.
Kaylin talks a big game, but she's sending out shit.
Honestly, you can't say Deneen was wrong. Anyway, sometime later, Kaylin had to turn up the heat. But guess what her big solution to the whole undercooking problem was? Well, opening and closing the convection oven, apparently?
Kaylin, just keep the oven shut.
At one point, it got so annoying that even sous chef Andy had to step in and order her to chill out. Hoping for a redemption, Kaylin decided to give it another shot. But Chef Ramsay was so done.
Get it back in the fucking oven!
Damn, that was brutal. And the poor lamb just got caught in the crossfire. But finally, on the third try, she managed to salvage the dish, and Chef Ramsay's wrath was gone. For the moment, anyway. After an embarrassing loss, it was time for the dreaded nomination process. Kaylin, obviously, found herself in the hot seat, and things got so spicy during the deliberations. She was rightfully considered for elimination because of her constant struggles on the meat station, but she wasn't ready to back down. Viewers were quick to question her professionalism, citing overconfidence as the main issue. But here's the kicker, instead of owning up to it, she deflected the blame. Kaylin argued that if Deneen had handled both the lamb and the Wellington, it would have been way worse. And get this, she threw in the fact that she didn't even attempt to jump in despite getting rejected. Eventually, Kaylin found herself as the red team's first nominee for elimination, and Deneen took the second spot. But things were about to get really intense during Kaylin's plea. Without an ounce of hesitation, Kaylin laid the blame squarely on Deneen and her inexperience, claiming that it was the only reason the service went south. Cool, but who was the one who ruined the lamb like 15 times? You. And just in case it slipped your mind, Deneen wasn't unwilling to assist. She tried to help, but got shut down. However, still, Kaylin went on to assert that she fared way better than Deneen, saying that she just had a bad day. But here's the twist, something totally unexpected happened. Kaylin actually survived elimination. Instead of being thankful and taking her position, as she was dismissed, Kaylin dropped a classic "being nominated motivated me to get my shit together" statement. As is tradition. Didn't stop her from getting eliminated 2 episodes later though. But here comes another contestant who asserted her leadership when nobody even asked her to. However, did she at least help her team win the challenge? Well, if you call Hell's Kitchen's most embarrassing dish of all time as helping, then sure. Let me sum up Melissa's journey on the show in 3 words: a total mess. But what happened in episode 6 went even further beyond. So, Melissa was on the fish station during the dinner service, and Rock, being the team player that he was, told her that she could lean on the blue team if she needed help. Now, do you remember the dry duck breast? Yeah, she totally ruined every chance the red team had to win. And so, Chef Ramsay decided to give her one more chance and transferred her to the blue team. But when it was her time to shine and send her dish to the pass, disaster struck. Her scallops ended up looking like thin sheets of paper.
Melissa!
Yes, chef.
It's like paper scallops.
Not exactly what you'd want in a top-notch dish. Chef Ramsay called her a gremlin and basically said that everything she touched became a disaster. Ouch, well that was rude as hell. But hey, can you blame him? Now, you'd think she'd try to make a comeback, right? Well, looks like that wasn't part of Melissa's plan.
I got screwed by Melissa. She brought the risotto tonight and I couldn't serve it. It's mushy.
After Brad served an overcooked risotto, he conveniently blamed her for overcooking the rice in the first place. An hour and a half later, she brought her monkfish to the pass, and surprise, surprise, this is how it turned out to be.
Overcooked?
That's over, sir.
Oh.
Yup, overcooked again. Hey, at least she's consistent, if anything. But what's funny is, according to her, it was perfectly cooked. Although Chef Ramsay wasn't exactly in the mood for her damn nonsense.
She doesn't know that's tooth the overcooked.
He wasn't just mad, he was furious. And just when you thought he was over and done with her, he dropped one of the most savage comparisons I've ever seen.
It looks like regurgitated dog shit.
Yikes, that's an image that's gonna be living in my head for, well, ever. One viewer commented how Melissa would be the perfect choice for a chef to run the world's most disastrous fine dining restaurant. Pair her up with Vinny and the place would probably burn down on the opening night. But they really twisted the knife by going to the extent of saying that a grade school chef could outcook her. And yeah, David, I don't think you're wrong here. Anyway, just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, she revealed she only had one monkfish left. In other words, none of the 6 on order were about to make it to the pass. So, Chef Ramsay, desperate to salvage the blue team's disastrous service, tried reassigning the station to Rock. Meanwhile, he forced her onto the garnish station. But did she give up? No way! She was determined because, well, she'd come way too far to just throw in the towel now. But that doesn't mean that she didn't have her own set of limitations.
Get the fuck off of there! Get off!
The blue team was running out of mashed potatoes, and no one knew where to find more. And to make things worse, a 6-top table got sent back, and not just for any old reason, but this.
Lobster chewy, chef, and the beef overdone.
Oh no.
Wait, what? Did they say it was overcooked? Again? I want to say I'm surprised, but I'm really not. And then came the moment when Chef Ramsay, in his classic sarcastic fashion, decided to lay it on real thick. First, he thanked her, no doubt ironically, for the overcooked monkfish. And then it was time for the ultimate verdict.
It is so sad. Shut it down.
Boom, just like that, the kitchen was shut down. About time, I'd say. Imagine the chaos and disappointment the team must have had though. Overcooking dishes is a cardinal sin on Hell's Kitchen, and Chef Ramsay certainly had his fill for the night. One viewer mentioned how furious they were at Melissa because she literally tried to sabotage the entire team. Another person added on, saying that Melissa really just gave up during the service and tried to drag everyone else down just because she didn't want to go down alone. Anyway, regardless, the whole team had to face the aftermath of Melissa's poor performance. The stakes were high and the pressure was on. As for Chef Ramsay, well, it should go without saying that he was beyond irate. After a long, grueling night of punishment, Melissa started to feel the heat. However, she wasn't ready to go home on her first night with the blue team. Now, during the deliberations, Chef Ramsay didn't waste any time in calling her down.
Melissa.
Yes, chef.
Step forward.
He cited her worsening performances, lack of improvement since the team switch, and just plain old running out of chances. The famous chef had all the reason in the world to eliminate her. In her exit interview, she admitted to being the worst that night and acknowledged that Chef Ramsay only sent her home for wasting her second chance. I think we're on the 7th or even 8th chance by now, but whatever. Now give Chef Ramsay's parting comment a listen. That was really difficult today because Brad and Josh were absolutely horrible. With Melissa, she's very assertive and she sounds like a leader, but unfortunately, she doesn't cook like a leader. Couldn't have said it better myself, chef. While that was bad, it's nothing compared to this abnormality. Season 3, Episode 3. After the men's team lost the food tasting challenge, where they miserably struggled to identify a bunch of really basic ingredients, they were subjected to eating exotic animal parts as punishment. And trust me, it was a hard pill to swallow, quite literally.
Beef liver, tongue, pig's feet, tripe, kidneys. Poof, fucking hell.
Now, these are consumed as delicacies in some parts of the world, but definitely not in theirs. And I'm sure none of them were expecting that.
Your palates are shit. So, taste everything.
Not even the women from the other team.
It's pretty bad. I mean, tongue and liver and kidneys, they just make me.
Meanwhile, the sous chef was well aware that these guys weren't tough enough to handle the punishment, so what did he do? Well, you have to see this.
Here's your barf bags in case your stomach can't handle it.
They were provided with barf bags because just in case someone couldn't handle it, you know. And well, there was more than one contestant who came close to making good use of it.
Be the man and throw it up. I'll hold back. It was the most disgusting experience I've had in my life. I need to use the restroom.
Meanwhile, viewers raised eyebrows, wondering about the culinary expertise of the contestants on the show. Would you be able to handle any of them? If you ask me, I'd be the first in line for using the barf bag. But if you are among those who are brave enough to try them, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn on my post notifications. I mean, come on guys, let's get this video to 10,000 likes. And for that, I really need your love and support. Now, if you're one of those people who love to try such exotic food, make sure to hop on my channel's Discord server and let me know what the most whacked out food you've ever tried is. Also, do you think the producers of the show went too far with these punishments? Well, that's definitely a thought that crossed my mind when the red team lost the challenge and had to face one of the worst punishments I've ever seen. If you remember, Barbie's association with sifting through garbage was unforgettable. Despite winning a challenge that required contestants to create a quick dish on a tight budget, Dana was the only one spared from the unpleasant task of digging through a garbage dumpster to separate the trash from the recycling. While Christina and Justin were visibly repulsed, Barbie seemed surprisingly unfazed by the task.
This is what every Friday is like. Waste vegetable oil and compost. I do this at home.
In her own words, seriously, this is what every Friday is like. You get really familiar with the smell. And no, she wasn't kidding. Dana did not hold back her feelings when she walked past the dumpster task for her reward.
You're a dumpster diver! Barbie, I like your goggles.
However, Barbie wasn't pleased with the condescending tone.
She would have done nothing but whine and cry and bitch and moan and make me want to throw her in the dumpster.
Later on, when Justin almost vomited at the sight of the maggots in the trash, Barbie clapped back with a hell of a response.
If you puke, just make sure you do it in the organic one, all right?
That's what I'm thinking about right now. I'm gonna recycle my throw up.
Oh yeah, you have to agree. The dynamics and interactions among contestants on the show can really make the most unpleasant challenges fun to watch. However, sadly, her ease with the trash-related challenge did prevent her from being eliminated from the competition.
Please give me a jacket.
Thank you, Chef. Bye, guys. Here, Barbie.
Despite being promised that 2 chefs would leave, Barbie was the first to go. It's wild how unpredictable the show can get sometimes, right? Speaking of, when it comes to this contestant, his random outburst turned out to be one of the most dramatic moments the show has ever seen. Now, Dewberry's time on the show was marked by his apparent lack of culinary skills. Even more frustrating was his tendency to avoid teamwork and seize the earliest opportunity to abandon ship when the going got tough. So yeah, Dewberry's behavior was far whinier than even the most petulant of children. And his choice of baked spaghetti for the signature dish challenge didn't sit very well with Chef Ramsay.
This is what?
It's a baked spaghetti.
He was fuming.
It's completely overcooked.
Is it?
That's just like children's food. Really bad.
Chef Ramsay expected more sophistication, suggesting options like lobster spaghetti or seafood linguine for a more fine dining approach. Not only did Dewberry's dish lack any sort of refinement whatsoever, but he also struggled to execute the basic preparation of baked spaghetti correctly. This lack of competence raised concerns about his ability to handle more complex dishes like beef Wellington or soufflés later on down the line.
Like one big overgrown muffin, just standing there. Can you help them a little bit? No?
Yikes, that must have stung really bad. But guess what? It just went to show how strong Chef Ramsay's frustration with Dewberry's consistent lackluster performance was. And that same performance would eventually lead to his team's failure. Speaking of disgusting moments, I can't help but bring up this next contestant. Jason Underwood's reputation as the most disliked chef of season 4 stemmed from his blatant misogyny and disrespectful behavior towards women. All in all, everything about this man was disgusting. And I'm not even talking about his food yet. His poor attitude quickly earned the ire of the entire Red Team, which, by the way, was entirely female. Not only did Jason refuse to contribute to the team's success, but he also displayed arrogance despite a lack of culinary talent.
Jason was like a magician. He kind of disappeared. What the f*** you thinking?
His contempt for women was evident from the start, with Jason intending to use any prize money to beat women away with a stick. I mean, who even talks like that? Throughout his time on the show, he consistently made misogynistic comments, attempting to degrade and belittle his female teammates. Like for instance, that one time when he made this comment that was just straight up repulsive.
The only thing I'm gonna lose to a woman is like an ironing contest.
His comment implied that women are only suited for domestic roles. Jason's behavior showcased a toxic and offensive attitude that clashed with the collaborative and supportive environment expected in any competition. However, Jason's belief in his skills were overshadowed by his reliability issues as demonstrated during his first dinner service.
Jason was like a magician. He kind of disappeared. What the f*** you thinking?
Instead of just focusing on his responsibilities in the kitchen, he decided to take a break outside to smoke, leaving his team in a lurch when they needed him most. It's safe to say that nobody was happy with his attitude. Upon his return, Jason's performance on the appetizer station was subpar at best, particularly with the risotto dish.
What is that? Got little burnt bits or something in there. Oh my god. The rice is overcooked.
And that's when Chef Ramsay, frustrated by Jason's failures, called him out.
You can't even get 2 fucking dishes together. That's how shit you've been. I just want to go eat some food!
Despite eventually producing an acceptable risotto, Jason's overall performance had already negatively impacted his team. However, Jason had different plans in mind. Rather than acknowledging his shortcomings and committing to improvement, Jason chose to deflect the blame and make derogatory comments about the women on his team.
We've embarrassed male chefs all over the world today. There's no way in hell I'm losing to girls again. That ain't happening.
He vowed to never lose to girls again and even referred to them as little kids. I feel like I'm on the verge of throwing up. And again, haven't even mentioned his food yet. Jason's behavior continued to be problematic not only in defeat but also victory. After a challenge win, he displayed a hell of a sexist and condescending attitude.
I don't think the girls have a clue what they're doing. But what do you expect without a man over there to lead them, of course?
He claimed that women didn't know what they were doing without a man to lead them. But he didn't stop there.
A room full of girls, I mean, that's useless unless, what are they having, a Tupperware party over there?
Dude was really living in the 1950s, wasn't he? In the very next dinner service, Jason's issues continued to persist.
Just touch that. It's stone cold and it's raw.
Chef Ramsay spotted raw halibut and witnessed communication problems with Petroza, disrupting the ticketing system. Despite these challenges, the blue team emerged victorious, highlighting the dysfunctional dynamics in the kitchen. Jason's behavior both in success and failure showcased a lack of sportsmanship and divisive attitude that created a toxic atmosphere within the competition. But that wasn't all. Jason's continuous display of misogynistic tendencies kept spilling during the chicken cutting challenge.
We're gonna win because we're men. This ain't the Dustin housekeeping challenge here.
He arrogantly declared that the victory was assured because they were men. However, almost comically, the men suffered a significant loss to the women, emphasizing that skill and teamwork were much more critical than gender. In the subsequent dinner service, Jason's performance continued to sink even further.
The soufflés looked like muffins in a cup. I don't know desserts, but I know they would not come up for nothing.
Especially at the dessert station where he struggled with preparing soufflés. Soufflés are notoriously challenging to master, and Jason's inability to get them right contributed to the downfall of his team. The famous chef, frustrated by Jason's consistent failures, ultimately decided to eliminate him from the competition.
Good night.
In the end, Jason's overconfidence and inability to deliver in crucial moments led to his departure from Hell's Kitchen. But that wasn't the only signature dish challenge that didn't go quite as planned. So, Matt Sigel was the sixth contestant in line, all set to wow Chef Ramsay with his masterpiece. Matt proudly presented his exotic tartare dish with a secret bold combination. Now, you'd expect this mix to blow Chef Ramsay away, right? Well, not so fast.
Oh, stop. Let me just get this right again. Either that or I'm just about to be punked.
Yeah, that's the level of shock I'm talking about here. The famous chef questioned Matt with something that sounded almost too crazy to be true.
Do you smoke?
Cigarettes?
No.
I mean, who could blame him? Now this is where things took a turn for the worse. Despite the horrifying presentation, Chef Ramsay mustered up the courage to taste Matt's creation. But boy oh boy, was it a disaster. Within seconds, Ramsay went from trying to keep it together to full-on gagging and spitting it out. It was so cringeworthy I could barely watch. What's more, Chef Ramsay then went on to claim that it was even worse than he thought.
One of the worst combinations I've ever tasted. 21 years of cooking.
But here's the craziest part. Despite Chef Ramsay's harsh verdict and the dramatic reaction to his dish, Matt couldn't quite wrap his head around it.
Chef Ramsay didn't like about the dish. I'm a little boggled on that.
Dude, seriously? Talk about overconfident. Clearly, the signature dish challenge didn't exactly earn Matt the standing ovation he was hoping for. Instead, it left everyone, especially Chef Ramsay, grimacing in disbelief. Sometimes, the kitchen can be a brutal reality check, and Matt was definitely on the receiving end of that. But now, take a wild guess. What could be worse than this horrible combination Matt came up with? So, in Season 7, Chef Ramsay observed a batch of mashed potatoes that went well beyond being runny.
There's our mashed potato. There you f***ing go.
It's incredible that these geniuses managed to turn a solid into a liquid. Anyway, this dude Andrew was super into his garnishes, like laser focused or something. To the point that he was giving direct orders.
Welcome, darling. Stay right there. Stay hot.
We've got a real food whisperer on our hands. And no, he didn't stop there.
What the fuck are you doing? Go away. Go away. Go away. Go away. Go away.
Yup, he legit shooed away Mikey after Ed called him a total maniac. Sometime later, he was bugging Benjamin about the salmon time, but sous chef Scott was like, bro, garnishes first. Dude was in a rush and clearly didn't know how to manage everything in one go.
Tell me how salmon is. Tell me how something is. Please talk to me.
I want to make sure the garnish is ready.
Holy shit, yes, chef.
He then told Jay to get those mashed potatoes out for him. He was speeding through the garnish prep, but when the mashed potatoes came back all watery, he freaked out. And in a moment of panic, guess what he did?
Don't add it! Oh no!
Why?
He grabbed the batch, started mixing it with a new one, and Chef Ramsay, who happened to see this atrocity, wasn't having it. What followed next was total kitchen chaos. Andrew really couldn't figure out what he did wrong. The famous chef only had one thing to say in reply. He straight up called him an idiot. Maybe Andrew was LARPing as a deaf person for some reason.
You put the thick stuff in, you add the runny to it.
That was a brilliant idea, chef.
You think this is funny, don't you? So we're serving liquid fucking mashed potato.
While Chef Ramsay's frustration started to peak, Andrew showed no signs of slowing down.
That's not true.
Man, this guy, damn, he's just crazy.
But all hell broke loose when Andrew made a rather snarky comment.
And now you're gonna tell me I can't cook in a saute pan?
At this point, Chef Ramsay lost it since Andrew just wouldn't shut up.
Get out. Yeah, fuck off. You don't care, you got no respect, you're a fucking joke to the industry. Yeah.
Ouch. But that definitely wasn't the end of the story. Back in the dining room, Andrew was about to bail when Jean-Philippe tried to talk him into staying.
That man asked me to leave and you expect me to stay here?
JP tried to convince him that Chef Ramsay was only trying to test him, and there were tons of folks who would kill to be in the spots, but Andrew's response was shocking.
I mean, take my shoes. I don't need this. I'm walking out these doors.
Yep, he kicked off his shoes, told JP that anyone eager for his shoes could have them, and bounced out of Hell's Kitchen for good, right out of the front door. In his exit interview, he had many complaints to share. Andrew claimed that Chef Ramsay probably saw him as a little jerk. He also said that he didn't give a damn about his opinion before wrapping up his interview with a casual "have a nice day." Well, I guess some people just love to act high and mighty. But here comes a dish that not only left Chef Ramsay speechless, but also came with a jaw-dropping price tag of $300. I mean, seriously? What in the world? Now, let's dive into the drama of the Signature Dish Challenge, where Colleen Cleek stepped up for judgment, landing at the 11th spot in line. Little did she know, her dish was about to unleash a reaction from Chef Ramsay that no one saw coming.
Who's cooked the diapers?
Smoked chicken enchiladas with poblano cream sauce. My name is Colleen.
Since Chef Ramsay couldn't help but make a remark about the dish resembling diapers, Colleen fearlessly stepped forward, proudly owning up to being the mastermind behind it. And now, the moment of truth. What did this bold creator whip up? Check it out yourselves.
What the size of it?
I feed big Nebraska boys. Would you like me to get you a bite?
No, I'll bite it myself.
Okay, but that looks nothing like a smoked chicken enchilada with poblano cream sauce. Don't you agree? Anyway, brace yourselves now because this is where it gets really wild. Not only did Colleen Cleek present a dish that Gordon Ramsay likened to diapers, but here's the kicker. She had the audacity to charge her customers a whopping $300 for it. Well, not literally for the dish, but for the culinary course that she conducted without ever having attended culinary school herself. Unbelievable. Chef Ramsay, being Ramsay, wasn't one to hold back. He was visibly shocked by the size of her dish, its taste, and of course, the outrageous price tag of her course. In a moment that could only happen on a reality cooking show, he decided it was time to take a dig at her.
Okay.
Without mincing words, Chef Ramsay straight up declared,
You seriously charge $300 to teach people how to make that crap?
Yes, chef.
And just when you thought it couldn't get any more brutal, he humorously suggested that he needed some plastic wrap for his rear end. Ouch. It left everyone wondering if culinary school might be a good investment after all. But now, here comes the comeback of the century. So, after feeling the sting of Chef Ramsay's critique, Colleen wasn't about to take it lying down.
I teach manners too, chef.
Say that again?
Talk about nerves of steel, or maybe just a dash of overconfidence. She decided to fire back at him, and I don't have to tell you how bad of an idea that was. But Chef Ramsay wasn't about to let that slide.
Okay, please, Miss Manners.
Without even missing a beat, he hit her with a nickname that's pure Ramsay genius, Miss Manners. Seriously, this man doesn't need a second to think things through. He just spits out these crazy nicknames right on the spot. Can you think of any others? Make sure to drop those names in the comments section down below. Also, let's get creative. If Chef Ramsay ever gave you a nickname, what do you think it would be? Wrong answers only. Meanwhile, just when you think it couldn't get any better, Chef Ramsay went full-on iconic with his signature move, yelling right in her face.
Off back in line.
Now that is how you shut down arrogance. I mean, let's be real, she might have lost a few aspiring students who were considering training under her after that little stint on the show. Call it karma at its finest, or just a moment of unintended chaos, but it was undeniably hilarious to watch. Now, let's get back to some more disgusting moments. The most undebatable moment that got everyone frowning, contestants and viewers alike, was the infamous spaghetti that came straight out of the trash and onto the pan. No points for guessing this one because what Jen did was unforgivable.
We had an order for spaghetti and I threw out what we had and I decided to retrieve the spaghetti from the top of the garbage and washed it.
I mean, how can you serve customer food retrieved from the garbage? Would you do the same thing back home, Jen? Fortunately, Julia was around to prevent this gruesome crime from happening.
Where'd you get it from?
The garbage on the top.
No. No way.
However, she got lucky because Joanna had committed an even more significant sin in the same damn service.
It's fucking rancid!
How can you do that?
No doubt, Jen's defense of her decision to pick spaghetti out of the garbage on Hell's Kitchen raised some serious eyebrows.
Washed it, 212 kills the bacteria. I decided to serve it.
And what was her defense? Much after the show, she dropped an excuse saying, "People have no idea what we're going through here."
You can't just do anything in the heat of the moment.
While stress can indeed be overwhelming, serving people food salvaged from the trash bin is certainly an extreme and questionable choice. It's moments like these that leave viewers shaking their heads and wondering what level of stress are the contestants on Hell's Kitchen being put through. So, can you think of more disgusting moments from the show? And if Jason was any indication, it doesn't even need to involve food. Don't forget to let me know in the comment section down below. And if you found that this video was crazy, then don't forget to check out my latest video right here since it's even crazier.